Every day since this past weekend, Mehmet Aksoy has taken the subway to Taksim Square in downtown Istanbul. The square has become the center of a protest movement that's meanwhile spread to cities across Turkey. The 73-year-old Aksoy is a longtime leftist and activist. In the early 1980s, he was forced to leave Turkey for Germany after the military coup.
As you can see, it's like a public festival here. And there are all sorts of people here. Young and old, women with headscarves and women without them. How can Erdogan say these people here are nothing but extremists? That's just a smear tactic, nothing but slander.
Aksoy also bears a personal grudge against the prime minister. He's Turkey's best-known sculptor. His sculpture of the goddess Cybele adorns Istanbul's banking district. Several years ago, the city of Kars, near the Armenian border, commissioned him to create a 35-meter-high statue of humanity. But then Erdogan paid the city a visit.
In a part of the country that suffered from constant war, I wanted to build a monument to understanding. It was two people facing one another and visible from afar. When it was finished, the two figures were going to join into one. I had all the necessary permits. But one day the Prime Minister came for a visit. He declared the statue a freak and ordered it demolished.
Many Istanbul residents say Taksim Square is another example of government arbitrariness and abuse. City authorities had planned to redevelop the square. Hundreds of trees were to be felled to make way for the restoration of a military barracks from the Ottoman era, which would house a shopping mall. The protests began a week ago as a sit-in. Cihan Baysal, a human rights activist, was there from the start.
The government is redeveloping the last of our old original districts and squares in this city. They're doing whatever they want. That's what we're protesting here. But meanwhile, this protest is also about more. The government is trying to force us to adopt their way of life. So this is also a struggle for democracy.
The trees at Taksim Square have been saved for now. But just a few meters away, work continues on what critics say is another example of ruthless development. An entire city district is being torn down to make way for new luxury buildings. The residents, most of them Kurds and Roma, were forced to move. Opponents of the project say Prime Minister Erdogan is also directly involved. His son-in-law's company is profiting from the project.
Just imagine, you wake up one morning and your house and your entire district where you were born and raised has been sold to a building company. Where else could something like that happen but here?
But the Turkish economy has been booming under Erdogan. That's also why he still has many supporters.
I work here. I think we're improving the district.
But these authoritarian tactics will turn the entire district into a powder keg.
But look at what the protesters are doing. There have been fires everywhere, and they broke the windows of my friend's shop over there.
Traces of this violence are everywhere around Taksim Square. But like Mehmet Aksoy and his friends, most of the demonstrators want peaceful protests. Right now, they're preparing for another onslaught of water hoses and tear gas on the part of the police. More than 1,000 people have been injured, and 2 have died in the protests across the country. That has only strengthened the activists' resolve.
We want a government that's environmentally responsible and that follows the law. A government that helps overcome injustice and that allows us more freedom and greater rights.
A sit-in to save the trees has become a struggle for greater democracy in Turkey. As darkness falls, another restless night begins.